TWM Podcast.
Hello and welcome to this week's TWM Talks. I am Matty Deller and we are doing a pay-per-view review this week, and it is of Saturday's AEW Full Gear. How far is too far? We'll get into that, as All Elite Wrestling certainly picked up the pace in Baltimore. We are part of TWM Podcast, bringing you that daily content of news, reviews and interviews from all corners of the wrestling world, available in all the usual places, some of them being Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Acast, TuneIn, Podbean, and wherever else you get your pods, really. We are brought to you by squarecirclebox.com. You can go and get your monthly dose. I keep saying they're saying daily dose, that'd be impressive, but monthly is still damn good. They give you enough stuff to keep you satisfied daily of wrestling swag. You can check out the latest video. It's up on our socials at TWM Wrestle, where Schmitty unboxed the last box that was available. Need to go sign up today if you want to get the latest box at the end of this month, the November box. You can get 10% off your first order by using the code TWM News at checkout. That is for squaredcirclebox.com. Joining me as we delve into AEW's second pay-per-view in the Dynamite era. He's a fucking dentist. He's not really, but he's still a lovely bloke besides. It's Rhys Thomas.
Definitely not a dentist. I did go on a date with a dentist once. I thought it went really well. She said she'd like to see me again in 6 months' time.
Boom. He's here all week. Try the veal. You got a better reaction with that than you did when you put it in the group chat. I've never seen a group of people turn more quickly when you text everyone that joke on Sunday.
I think it didn't help that the show wasn't on and it just had no relevance to anything going on at the time.
It just came in, and I've never if you could possibly clear a room on a group chat, you did then. You did well, son. You did well. How are you, Rhys?
Yeah, pretty good.
Lovely stuff, lovely stuff. Let's have a little chat about AEW, shall we? Let's chat about Full Gear. We'll probably go a bit more in-depth, but overall, enjoyed the show?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good show. Really enjoyed it, yeah.
I'm the same. I thought it was enjoyable. Whether it was it better than All Out, we'll discuss that maybe towards the end, but to get to the end, we have to start at the beginning. Let's look at the stage. They did say they were going to be changing the stage of pay-per-views. They did change it up. It was a bit more simplistic on the kind of the main stage bit, and we got the return of the, depends your persuasion, be it WCW, ECW, or even TNA, the ramp, which is level with the ring, which I always enjoy. I wish you could get that on video games, because it's a lot of fun. There's a lot more stuff you can do when you've got the ramp that's level with the with the ring itself. I thought it was quite a nice little setup.
Yeah, definitely. Always been a big fan of the custom pay-per-view sets for each show, and I think that's the general feeling of a lot of fans. So I think that's something AEW have latched onto, and hopefully going forward now we see different sets for each show.
Yeah, I'm hoping so, for sure. I also I didn't get a chance to watch the Countdown pre-show thing before it was on the actual pre-show on Fight TV. Thanks to Fight TV for helping us out and hooking us up. They also hooked up several of our fans, TWM, giving them a free pass to Fightcast. Ben at King Kicks on Twitter got that one. I apologise, I cannot remember the name of the person for Full Gear, but I know that he got it for him and his son to sit there and watch together. So TWM bringing families together, courtesy of Fight TV. So I watched the pre-show bits. I loved it, but I don't know if I'm the only one, Rhys. This is the kind of stuff they should have on TV. They don't have enough of this exposition, explaining things, explaining characters on TV. They should have a little bit of this and not shove it all onto YouTube. What do you think?
So I saw some of it. I didn't see it all. Classic Brits getting the American time mixed up. Yeah, no, I thought it was cool. Something I was actually reading about this is, I think the reason them and also WWE do it, they sort of keep a lot of the speaking stuff online, and the TV show is more match based. I think it's because when they're exporting the shows to foreign TV channels,
that makes a lot of sense. But That's what editing's for. You edit that stuff out. It's just like it means you're almost cutting your nose off to spite your face. You're getting rid of the things that get your English speaking fans in to appease the international fans. Whereas why don't you just do 2 edits of the show? Send the international edit without the exposition in, and then have the English edit with the exposition in. It's New Japan do it. I don't see why it's such a big deal, but again, that's you have brought the logic to the table, and I am merely here to hypothesize.
One big criticism I've seen people say about AEW time and time again is that they don't build up their characters enough. They don't have enough story going on.
No.
So yeah, I think that is a very valid point. They maybe should look at getting some more of this on TV. They
did do quite well. They did split up all the video packages they'd made and put them all out throughout the show to kind of give every single match had the story for the last few weeks in. So they did that quite well. We start off with the lone match on the buy-in pre-show, which was Britt Baker defeating Bea Priestley, 2 of the internet's most favourite women at the moment. I did not realise. I know Bea has got a bit of a reputation for maybe not being the safest. I've seen the gif of her and Iwatani where she nearly drops she borderline drops Iwatani on her head from the top rope. But apparently, like, Britt Baker's also not the most liked online as well. This match was very rough, was very clunky, but the main highlight, of course, was many people say that Cody had the greatest promo of the year with AEW Dynamite, the promo against Jericho. But then I think Bea Priestley just topped it with 4 simple words. You're a fucking dentist.
Straight to the point, that.
Yeah,
absolutely savage.
That's her Austin 316. Priestley 316 says you're a fucking dentist. Oh, it was so dumb, but so fun. Like, she's trying to be like this uncaring, like this like bitchy heel. If you want to see the best bitchy heel, just look at Jamie Hayter for further information. She's got it down pat. But her just going, you're a fucking dentist, and everyone just going, yeah, we know, because AEW tell us every 15 minutes she's in the ring. So it was so dumb. She must have realised that that's just going to get memed to fuck on the internet now, between now and the end of time. Bea Priestley took control early on, working the ribs and back of Britt Baker. It was a back and forth match. It was quite clunky. And the crowd were both into them, in all fairness. I don't know if you clocked this. I only clocked it after the fact when I think Gift Skull put it on Twitter and it made me laugh. The Bea went for a stomp and somehow missed because she ended up kicking the rope instead.
I missed that while watching it. I guess because from the angle we saw it on the hard cam, we wouldn't have seen it. But then I did see that GIF as well, and I'm not quite sure what happened there.
Yeah, I'm not sure how she managed to get confused with her foot and the... It was a lovely double stomp on the outside by Bea, I will give her that. Britt kept battling to hook in lockjaw, but Bea kept fighting out of it. And eventually the top gaijin could not fight anyone, and then succumbed to lockjaw for the submission victory. But this match was more about what happened post the event, because then Bea Priestley was attacked by Awesome Kong and Brandy Rhodes, and they then cut a lock of Priestley's hair as some kind of trophy, which apparently makes Awesome Kong the bad guy from Charlie's Angels.
And I've not seen that movie, so
I could not remember the reference, but everyone has been wanging on that Awesome Kong is now the bad guy from Charlie's Angels that cuts people's hair off and sniffs it. I don't know if it's Charlie Angels 1 or 2, I can't remember, but they said that was a thing. This was quite cool though. But it seems weird that they've got like the two people that Brandy's attacked have been Jamie Hayter and Bea Priestley, both heels, but Brandy and Kong are heels. So surely they need to attack a face to show they're just attacking anyone, because otherwise this is two heels that are now faces that are attacking heels, and it becomes a bit of a mess.
I hadn't actually clocked that, but I don't know, the only sort of way I could... Like, the only explanation I could think of is, unless they're going to end up with a faction of sorts, so the people she's attacked are the ones that end up joining him. If you can't beat them, join them kind of way.
Maybe. That'd be good. But then again, Jericho in the media scrum post said he wants Jamie Hayter in the Inner Circle, and now that's all I want is her to be. Basically, I want Sammy Guevara and Jamie Hayter to be Jericho's wrestling children. It would be the best thing ever. We then cut into the opening match, which is Proud and Powerful defeating the Young Bucks via pinfall. As expected, Rhys, this was a tremendous match between the two best tag teams in the world.
Yeah, exactly. When you have like two of the best tag teams in the world, there's only one way it's going to go. And yeah, I think this really set the tone for the rest of the night. Like, really enjoyed this match.
There was also, again, the stuff of the Young Bucks. If you think the Young Bucks haven't got ring psychology, look at this match. They've got ring psychology now. We haven't got to keep making that tired meme because Nick hurt his ankle because he did the old Trent Seven and smacked the ring post with his ankle. That looked so painful. Like, the Trent Seven one, I'm kind of used to the hardy ha-ha, he hit the ring post thing. But my God, Nick Jackson swung with all of his might into that ring post.
It's not something I'd like to do myself.
I wouldn't recommend it, Rhys.
I've stubbed my toe and that hurts enough.
Just watching you walk around going, should I kick this wall just so I can get empathy pains for Nick Jackson? No, don't do it. So they took control, and Rick Knox, best referee ever, Rick Knox, upholding the rules for a bit, stopping illegal tags, not letting one of the Proud and Powerful in because they tagged the foot, even though he let them do it all of about 10 minutes later. Blocking illegal tags. We got a beautiful submission from Santana and Ortiz where it was like a gory special on one, and then the Boston Crab and Camel Clutch combination on the other. It was delicious. They started working over the leg of Nick Jackson. This was a superb showcase of tag team wrestling. The Young Bucks were in control until they attempted a Meltzer driver, but then Nick's ankle gave out. He tried to fight back, but then Proud and Powerful hit the Street Sweeper for the marquee victory. This was a very, very good tag match.
Yeah, for sure. And debut match, I believe. So, yeah, not surprised to see them picking up the win either.
Is their debut tag? I know they're in a 6-man, but it's their debut 2-on-2 tag match in AEW. So that was impressive for them, definitely. That's two teams on their kind of AEW tag team debut have ended up beating. I know actually, Private Party had wrestled on a show before, on the buy-in before, so technically doesn't count. But you know what I mean. Rock and Roll Express were at ringside, and Sammy Guevara joined in with Proud and Powerful for the beatdown, but the Rock and Roll Express evened the odds. And Rhys, in the year of our Lord 2019, we saw Ricky Morton hit a leaping over the ropes Canadian Destroyer.
I wasn't quite sure what I was witnessing. That was, pretty special to say the least.
It was I can't remember if you tweeted it or someone else did tweet that they went, in the space of 7 days in 2019, I've popped so hard for the Rock and Roll Express.
Yeah, that was me, because they did the same thing on Power. They had a run-in at the end of the show, and then, maybe 2019 is their comeback year. New
Japan Pro Wrestling's Rock and Roll Express. Never forget that this year, Rock and Roll Express have wrestled for New Japan and appeared in All Elite Wrestling, and I think are going to wrestle for the NWA as well. It's just, the wrestling doesn't make any sense anymore, and it's beautiful. Hangman Page over Pac. It was okay. This was an okay match. I didn't mind it. It was pretty solid. Nothing standoutish.
I mean, nothing really to complain about either, though. It was, as you said, pretty solid, a good match.
Yeah, it was solid, middle of the road, in the card anyway. Page got the jump on Pac early on. This happens way too much in All Elite Wrestling, someone jumping the other person. Needed a lot more clean starts to matches, I feel. And they used his power to his advantage until Pac did a very nice little spot where he kicked the ring rope into the eye of Hangman Page and kept cutting off at every opportunity. And then Pac missed the middle rope Phoenix Splash, and then put a stop to any Page momentum with a big brainbuster on the outside, which gained a 19 from the referee. Pac rallied, but his attempt at the Deadeye was Page rallied, but his attempt at the Deadeye was countered into a hanging brutalizer, but Page then fell into the ropes. Pac went for a Lobo behind the referee's back, but Page caught it, leading into the Deadeye for the victory. It was a really good middle of the road in the card. Second match kept the stuff going. Now I'm going to get to 2 in a row of JR just being not as good as he used to be, which makes me sad to say. JR saying, this is Pac's first blemish on his record. No, it's not. This is correction. If he said first singles blemish on his record, then he'd be correct. But he lost a tag match to Hangman Page while you were calling it, JR. So, read your notes.
I can't blame him too much because I've spent the best part of the last 20 minutes trying to find a list of the win-loss records, and I just can't find one anywhere. Well,
I can tell you one for definite. Excalibur is 1-0. If you're led to believe what happened this weekend. He got a submission victory over Jimmy Havoc, if you believe what the internet says.
I like to think he was at that restaurant, like, fully masked still.
Oh, no, of course, yeah, I imagine he had the mask, because they took photos, he has to have the mask on. I would be shocked if he didn't. What I am not shocked about is Jimmy getting himself into a scrap in a seafood restaurant with AEW. Of course he has, because it's Jimmy. Number 2, this happens every time. JR constantly going, what the hell is this, when the lights go out on Sean Spears' entrance. You have the format in front of you. You know what Sean Spears' entrance is. Why are you so confused by the dark?
Like, the lights out match isn't due for another 2 hours yet.
And they didn't even turn the lights off for the light. That annoyed me. I'll talk about that later on. Sean Spears over Joey Janela. This was, again, it was second and third match, usually kind of the, not filler matches, but the less important matches before they lead into the big marquee matches. The undercard. If you strong opener, undercard, then you go into the big matches. And this was a decent undercard match between these two.
It was pretty solid, and some pretty cool spots in it as well. It wasn't like a 5-star match, but it served its purpose well. Yeah, definitely.
Joey Janela took a nasty bump to the outside, because if he can't do death matches, he's going to take ridiculous bumps to the outside, which let Sean Spears get in trouble. One of the unique spots, I imagine, was Spears tying Janela's hair with a tag rope.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that before, and yeah, it seems so obvious now. Yeah,
no, it's a really, really cool. I'm shocked because I thought, he's going to feed his hair through the turnbuckle and he can't get it out. But that was really, really clever. And having Janela have to pull his own hair out of the thing was a really, really nice spot.
So unexpected that the ref didn't even clock it.
Yeah, it was so well. It's such a clever thing to do. And so was this as well. I like this. So then the end comes when Spears distracts the ref with exposed turnbuckle, and then on the outside. So I thought, he's going to go outside and Tully's going to low blow him. No. They hit a spike pile driver off the stairs on the outside. I was like, geez, did not see that coming. Spears hit his Death Valley driver for the win. It was a decent contest. Decent enough. Then we get a promo. Finally, Kip Sabian gets some TV time. Good Lord, it's been a long time. He cuts a promo. He's turned heel, which apparently must have happened on AEW Dark, because he was a face last time I saw him. And they did the thing they should have done from the beginning. Have Kip Sabian as a heel. As you all know, Rhys, Kip Sabian is so much better as a heel than he is as a face. He's a good face, but he's a brilliant heel. And what do? They put his IRL girlfriend with him, Penelope Ford, as the super bad club. And they go off with the line of, why be bad when you could be super bad? And they have it just after the Joey Janela match where Janela lost. So it seems like they're going this way, but it's a lot to take in. First of all, Kip Sabian better as a heel, yes or no?
100%, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Because he can now do all the little bits he did before. One of my favourite spots he does, I've seen him do it on the indies before, where he demands the ref hold the ropes open, or the ring announcer hold the ropes open, and then he just jumps over the top rope. It's such a simple spot, but it's such a dick move, and he's so much more fluent on the mic as a heel than he is a face.
Yeah, give him a mic. He's like a radiator because he's a heat machine.
Yeah, if you want two heat magnets on opposite end of the spectrum. One in regards to remarks, one in regard of attitude. You've got your ready-made heels in. You've your heels are set for the next 10 years for AEW, because you've got Kip, you've got Sammy, and you've got MJF. Like, you don't need to build any more heels, really, in that company, because you've got your heel set. Faces, they've got a bit of work on their hands to build up some big name faces, because they've only really got Cody and Kenny and Hangman Page are kind of the big singles faces there, and they've got enough heels to last a lifetime, so they need to build up some big kind of marquee faces in that company. And they play a thing. I want to kind of call the Jets. A lot of people are like, oh my god, this is happening because Kip, Penelope left left Joey Janela for Kip. I'm fairly certain Joey Janela and Penelope Ford were broken up for about a year before they were with Kip. But I imagine they're going to basically do the thing of like Penelope now rubbing it in Joey Janela's face that she's with Kip Sabian, and then them two can have some good matches, probably on AEW Dark when they should be on Dynamite. But all of this makes sense. I think I'm very intrigued to see where this goes.
It's a good reason to start a feud between the two, if that's the way they're going.
Yeah.
With it. I'm not sure whether the Janela and Sean Spears are done, or whether there's more to that, because it felt like that rivalry was just picking up. Maybe
they can have a second match on Dynamite, and they can have, I don't know, Kip cost Janela the match, and then that builds into that feud. I remember, in regards to relationship storylines in 2019, they've got a pretty low bar to get over, because they've all they've got is Lashley, Rusev, and Lana to. Good lord. Then we go into the AEW tag team title match. Champions SCU defeating Private Party and the Lucha Brothers. The way I describe this, Rhys, is this was a spot fest filled showcase. That's not a negative thing, because I think it played to all three teams' strengths. What do you think?
When you have a match that has any more than 4 people in it, I think that's the way to do it, because you can have all the spots, but it's not the same person doing it over and over. You've got like different people doing it. So I really enjoyed this match as well.
Yeah, it was really, really good. Like, Bryce Rumsberg pretty much lost control straight away, and they just let them basically go wild. Interesting to note.
On the subject of Bryce, I think, was it later in the show, did they say he was a specialist at multi-man matches? Like each referee has like their own speciality, and his is multi-man matches. And I was thinking, well, not based on earlier.
I love that. I thought that was really, really cool. They're like, well, Bryce's speciality is multi-man matches. Or it might have been Rick and I did. And then they said Aubrey. They have a nan reffing. Aubrey is like, her speciality is like big title matches, because she's a big game player. I love them giving little nuances to the refs, which is really, really cool. Also, I want to say big props to AEW. They had Hebner reffed Spears and Janela, I think, on the anniversary of the screw job.
Yeah.
Spears did a sharpshooter. Didn't mention it. Well done. You haven't got to keep bringing up that stuff over and over again. The other thing to note is I felt bad for SCU in this, because they were kind of the least popular out of the 3 teams. They were the new champions, and they had to deal with Private Party, who are much more over than them, and the Lucha Brothers, who are already more over than them anyway. So they kind of got stuck in the quasi-heel role.
Yeah, I see what you mean. But then, Lucha Brothers are one of the best tag teams in the world. Private Party are like the up and coming, like they will one day be top 5 like tag teams in the world. I don't really know what you could have done about that, to be honest.
It was a weird one. It was a strange one. Speaking of top wrestlers tag teams in the world, I'm saying this to every person that's going to do a list. We'll be doing lists obviously at the end of this year, doing our awards and stuff. When you're doing the top 10 male wrestlers of the year, or even top 10 wrestlers of the year with male and female combined, if Phoenix is not in your top 5, your list is wrong. Phoenix is one of the best wrestlers on the planet right now.
Had a fantastic year. Just like the matches I've seen him in, he's been phenomenal.
Yeah. again, one of these people, similar to Speedball Mike Bailey, I can't remember seeing him have a bad match. Even in matches that are a bit clunky, they're still better than most. And yeah, just absolutely loved it. He was brilliant. He did that weird flippy-floppy inside-outside torneo to the outside, which was like... I can't even think of the words to describe how insane that move was. Did insane dives. Private Party almost had the match on with Gin and Juice, but Kazarian blocked it. And then SCU hit the SCU later for the win. It was a bit of a rough finish, but they got through regardless. And post-match, the Lucha Brothers attacked, but the lights went out, and JR didn't say anything, so he assumed it was Shawn Spears again. But the lights came back on, and a second Pentagon Jr. appeared and laid out both the Lucha Brothers. It turned out to be Christopher Daniels out for revenge. Back to his fallen angel ways, it seemed, with the thing on his face. I thought it was a nice little spot at the end. Maybe we go forward now, maybe with a Pentagon versus Christopher Daniels feud. That might be one you go forward with. Maybe you just do SCU versus the Lucha Bros and they get a third person in. But I thought it's pretty solid, and it builds up, again, building up another feud, which is what AEW need to do.
Would not object to either of those feuds.
This podcast, and indeed all TWM podcasts, are brought to you by SquaredCircleBox.com, the only place for your monthly wrestling box needs. With things from superstars from WWE, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, British Wrestling, Independent Wrestling, and loads more, it is the only place that matters if you want to get the best wrestling swag for a low, low price. That low, low price is just £25, people. What a bargain! And you can get snapbacks, t-shirts, magazines, DVDs, trinkets, whatchamacallit, doodads, you name it, they have it each and every month. And just because you listen to TWM, you sexy, sexy people, you get 10% off your first order. All you got to do is use the code TWM News in the checkout. Just use the code TWM News in the checkout for 10% off your first order at SquaredCircleBox.com.
I said, why not spread the gospel of the TWM squad with some of our lovely merch over at Teespring? We have t-shirts for all shapes and sizes, hoodies, sweatshirts, mugs, stickers, and loads more. Also, just for listening to this podcast, you can get 10% off your order. I said using the code podcast. That's podcast. Once again, podcast in the checkout for 10% off at teespring.com/stores/TWM-wrestling-merch. That's right. Praise. Testify.
Then we go to the women's title match as Riho defeated Emi Sakura to retain the belt. Before we started, this was very, very lovely. Did you see at the start that Emi was really emotional? Emotional at this title match. Do you clock that at all?
In the match or no, I didn't notice. You mean in the match or on the entrance?
At the beginning, when they were doing the announcement, she was legitimately tearing up when Riho was being announced, which was genuinely quite lovely. And she was tearing up whether she was being announced as well. It was clearly this meant so much to both of to Emi to not only wrestle her student, but then obviously wrestle her student in front of a really appreciative crowd. Yeah, it was just really, really, really lovely to see. But then Emi had to be a shit the whole match because she's the baddie. She used her power to take control of the smaller Riho, but the diminutive champion kept fighting back. You can tell I got this off the results I wrote. So I used the word diminutive in this match. Riho got back into it with a big double stomp on the prone Sakura on the ring apron. I don't know if you clocked this. I thought it was brilliant because obviously she's doing the whole basically I'm a Freddie Mercury wrestler. When she was doing the surfboard, did you hear her doing the Freddie Mercury crowd warming up thing?
Was it the "We Will Rock You" claps? Or
no, she does that. But then when she did the thing, you may have seen everyone's seen clips of Freddie Mercury, and he does the Dale and puts the thing out to the crowd, the mic to the crowd.
Right, yeah.
He does that, but she was doing that as she was rocking Riho with the surfboard. And it was really, really funny because she's just going, Dale! damn, and then pulled him. It was gold. Proper, really funny stuff. And she went the midsection of Riho to stop her momentum. There was like some sort of, I think they did a move at some point, and ref Remsburg ballsed up. I don't know what happened. I can't remember. It might have been a pinfall, and he might have pulled up again, which would have been the second time in a week that Bryce Remsburg has pulled up on a 3 count to avoid the match fucking up. But then Sakura and Riho just went into they just went, well, that went wrong. Quick, do as many pinning combinations as physically possible to get the crowd back into it. Riho wins with this mad spinning arm drag crucifix into a rolling cover for the win. Really, really solid match. I really enjoyed it. It's one of what I've noticed with Riho, which is really, really good, is that they bring it up, but do you ever notice that she's much, much smaller than everyone else?
Oh, I hadn't. I've seen people give her a lot of flack for this quite recently, and it's something I hadn't even noticed until then. Obviously, she was a lot smaller than. It was the last match against Nyla Rose, wasn't it? Yeah. So of course she's going to be smaller there. I don't know if it's just me, but it's one of those things I don't really pick up on. Yeah. On stuff like that. So that when people are pointing out, I was like, oh yeah, she actually is quite small, but I hadn't really considered that, and I don't really see it as an issue either. Yeah, they're
going, oh, it's not believable that she's this small and she's beating up all these people. I was like, why don't you have an 85-pound woman double stomp you on the chest and see how much it hurts? Or have an 85-pound woman run really, really fast and drive her knee into your face, and they go, no, it didn't hurt. No, it doesn't matter. I know there's weight class and different things, but it's different. This is an open weight sport. It's the same as in any line sport. It's the same as I don't know. This happened years ago. Lionel Messi out jumping Rio Ferdinand at a corner to score a goal in the Champions League final, which did happen. Messi's tiny, but if he's athletic enough and he's got the power behind him, he can outleap someone much taller than him. It's just one of those things, and people need to stop going, small is rubbish. It's well, no, it's not. You can't do that, because then we won't literally... these are the same people that'll be like, oh, there's too many big, lumbering wrestlers in wrestling now. You literally said you don't want that 5 weeks ago. It's almost as if wrestling fans are fickle. We then meet the judges. I wonder if they'll be involved in the decision. Spoiler alert, fucking not. We see Arn Anderson, Great Muta, and a second we saw him, we all hoped there was going to be some sort of interaction between him and the champion, Dean Malenko. Everyone went mental. They're like, oh, cool, Muta's answering. Oh, Jericho Malenko. Oh, my God. Jericho needs to do an arm bar and just stare at Dean Malenko.
Yes, Malenko was definitely not judging this down the middle.
He said, brilliant, just sitting there writing down, just going lack of arm bars, -5 points for Jericho. We then get to the world title match, Jericho defeating Cody in this one. I will say, I didn't clock until about 5 minutes into the match, but Jericho wearing a Le Champion weight belt, which was really, really funny. Cody rattled Jericho early on, leading him to square up with the judges, specifically Dean Malenko, so I popped for that huge. And then Cody went, this is the big talking point, Cody went for a massive dive, missed, and went face first, skidding face first across that ramp, and he got proper fucked up in the face.
I don't know if it was planned that he was going to bleed. I know he likes to bleed in the big matches, and it looks really cool with his bleached blonde hair because the blood gets all up in
similar to Flair and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, sure whether this was planned or whether it just kind of happened, because it was so early on in the match as well.
Yeah, I feel like there probably was meant to be something, but I don't think he probably was meant to land arm or chest first, which is because of why Jericho ended up working over the ribs, but he overshot it and ended up skidding on his face, and that was diamond plate or whatever it is, plated steel, and he's just gone and scraped his eyebrow and just cut him. He had to have a lot. Funny enough, his mum did the stitches. I found that out yesterday.
She probably used to it after years of being married to Dusty.
She's a trained paramedic, so of course she was married to Dusty.
I didn't know that.
That was right. She's like, when Dusty was out on the pool, he's like, "What do you do?" It's like, "I'm a paramedic. I'm marrying you. I bleed a lot. I need your help." So Jericho started working over the ribs, trying to cause a referee stoppage. Cody got the knees up on a lion salt. Jericho tried to get into Cody's mum's face and then got the piss slapped out of him by Cody's mum. Cody then had the match won, but Hagen nailed him with a right hand and got thrown out by the referee, Aubrey. But during all that melee, Chris Jericho hit Cody with the belt for a very close near fall. Then Jericho basically locked in the lion tamer, and MJF threw in the towel, forfeiting the match for his charge. This was really good, really emotional, and I'm really, really happy it didn't go the hour like many people thought it would.
Like the storytelling in this match was just fantastic.
Yeah, it was so well, all of it, and they played into the accidental, the hard way for Cody so well. It was so well done, and they built up it at the end. All the emotions built up to the head. I had a feeling the second MJF threw in the towel. Did you get the feeling that something was going to happen?
Yeah. So sort of with Cody being Dusty's son, my first reaction was, there's going to be a Dusty finish, like it's going to get overturned, match restarted or something.
Yeah.
Because for me, it felt a little bit too early for the match to end. I think maybe it could have gone another 4 or 5 minutes and then ended. But,
as long as it didn't go an hour, that's what I was worried about. I thought they were going to do the hour, and I was like, I can't be dealing with an hour-long match. I will fall asleep, and it's a shame. But they played into the emotions. You got MJF crying in front of Cody, and Cody's like, it's fine. You did what you thought you had to do. Picks him up. MJF immediately kicks him in the dick. After all this time, MJF has finally turned on Cody, and my word, the fans were fucking fuming.
I mean, like, everyone knew it was coming at some point, but still, that didn't make it any easier to take when it actually happened.
What I loved about it is I think almost they'd turned the corner where everyone like, oh, maybe it's not happening for a while, and that was the perfect time to do it. Because even I was like, oh, I thought they were going to continue this for another month or so and then have it happen. But I bought into it. I completely bought in, because I was like, oh, maybe they're going to leave it for a bit longer. And then that was the perfect time to strike, because everyone was like, oh, you fuckers, you made us believe. You made us think it wasn't happening, and then it did. So much so that whether it was a plant or not, we don't know. Some fan launched a drink and nailed MJF in the face with it.
What a great aim. He must play baseball or something.
Yeah, great aim, whoever it was, whether it was a plant or not. But if it wasn't a plant, well done, because that video is going to be used in every MJF vignette from now until the end of time, because it was such a perfect camera shot of it all. Then we get to it was not really the main event, because it was after the show had ended, because they had the lights out. But I don't know if I missed this. They didn't turn the lights off for the lights out match, did they? They didn't cut the lights off and come back on.
Justin Roberts definitely said they were going to turn the lights off. But
they went red. I
didn't see any lights myself.
Yeah, they went red, and like the Fiend was going to come out, and it's like the last thing we need is more fucking red lighting in wrestling. Please don't do that again. Right, this match divided opinion. There are some that said it was too long and too violent and unnecessary. There are others, like me, that generally think this is probably in my top 3 matches of the year. I thought this was superb. What did you think?
Loved every second of it.
This was great. And everyone saying that it was violence for violence sake clearly has not been watching the show.
I mean, he did the it's not the Dirty Deeds anymore. What's
Paradigm Shift?
He did that through a glass table. Like, nothing in this match was anywhere near as bad as that.
Yeah, it's the whole thing of it. I'll say this. For a quote unquote death match which had barbed wire and glass, was there excessive blood? No. There was a small amount of blood, very limited, which made it more realistic. The fact there wasn't bleeding buckets. Number 2, the story is that Moxley wants to make a name for himself, so he made it at Kenny Omega's expense. Moxley's then backed into a corner by AEW saying you're unsafe, so we're not sanctioning this match. And he's like, fine, then I'm going to have to take all of this out and basically kill your boy Kenny Omega. And Kenny's gone, well, if you're going to do that, then you're going to see the cleaner side. And the whole story of this match is Kenny snaps. Halfway through the match, Kenny realises he likes the taste of blood and likes the violence. And the whole point of Kenny's character is that he is this tremendous wrestler, but he has got this dark side. And we saw that dark side when he was the cleaner. I know it's a lot of exposition, and I do feel like AEW should have explained that more and should have had the thing of like, Kenny might be one of the greatest wrestlers on the planet. Doesn't mean that Kenny's not got a dark side to him. Like, they should have kind of more, I don't know about you, maybe more kind of got a bit more in-depth about the cleaner side of Kenny, rather than just alluding to it.
I mean, it's not something I know a great deal about, other than kind of watching Being the Elite and sort of seeing the way he's been going on that. But I will say, though, for Kenny Omega, for someone who is considered like one of the best wrestlers in the world, sort of in ring, he didn't look out of place in a death match like this at all.
No, he didn't.
Seemed like at home, but it's not something you'd necessarily associate with him.
Yeah, and I think it was what's brilliant. It plays into the Moxley character, because I like Moxley becoming more and more pissed off that he's come to another company and been pigeonholed again, but this time he's being pigeonholed as an unsafe guy. And like, it's just, and then Omega's been like, well, you backed me into a corner. They need to play off this more. Like, if you back Omega into a corner, he's going to lash out. He's going to go into the dark corners of his brain. They should have elaborated on it more, but I feel like it was there to be picked up. And a lot of people kind of just were put off by the garbage match style, but I think it was brilliant, personally. They brought from the off, they used trash cans and lids. We get a double stomp for a plastic bin off of kind of a little rising there from onto Moxley from Omega. Mox gets the barbed wire baseball bat and starts wearing out Omega with it. Really, like, spots to the arm make me always feel uncomfortable, but in fact he counters the Snapdragon suplex by raking the barbed wire, like raking it on the meaty part of Kenny's arm. Was just, it was that made me cringe a little bit. And it's very hard to make me cringe with death matches. Then Omega gets the barbed wire bat, and this was the one bit where it was a bit of a fuck up, and it did get a little bit scary, because Omega swings the bat and it catches Moxley in the back of the head.
I was busy kind of laughing at that point, because I just thought it was so funny how he was Moxley was trying to hit Kenny with something, and then Kenny just comes back with like an even bigger thing.
You call that a barbed wire weapon? This is a barbed wire weapon. But like, he swings and misses, and Moxley bleeds buckets at the back of his head, and that is the last place you want to see anyone bleeding, is the back of the head, because that's the danger zone around that area.
So I've got a scar in the back of my head from when I cut it open once. And
was you in a death match with John Moxley?
I was playing football in school, but
same thing basically. playing football in a school in Wales, death match with John Moxley. Same risk and reward strategy there.
And the amount of blood that was coming out, like, everyone thought I was dead. It didn't even hurt. It was such a small cut, but yeah, there's mad blood comes out of the back of your head.
Were you selling though? Did you get
I went in an ambulance.
Imagine you just getting up, being like, holding back your head, selling, trying to like swing, trying to find a weapon to fight, you're trying to get your heat punches back in, trying to build your babyface fire. For the end, you're like, no, you're at a school field, Rhys, please get in the ambulance. Let me put him through a table. They had like the Omega doing the trash can assisted you can't escape for a near fall. We get a fucking mousetrap board, which popped me massively, because I love the weapons that are so ridiculous. They're gonna, like, that the whole story is they sat there and went, I'm gonna make this and have it under the ring just in case.
Why wouldn't you have one of them under the ring at the show? You don't want any rats like chewing up the ring.
There's a joke about rats and wrestling. I'm not getting into it. Moxley then hit the X-Plex onto it, which was nice. Mox then hits a sidewalk slam and then a neck break onto a big pile of chain. It's like the world's biggest wrestling chain I've ever seen.
In wrestling at its very best.
And then Moxley basically tries to stab Kenny Omega, but and then tries to hang him, but Omega counters with some snapdragons. Omega then topes Moxley through a table. We then get the broken glass spot where basically, I love that they went, oh, it's the broken glass from the table. So they're basically Omega never forgets. Basically, the whole thing with Omega is basically he's old boy. He never forgets, and he's going to get you back tenfold. And he cuts up Moxley with broken glass. Even though it made no sense, because when he was locked in, was it a sharpshooter? Locked in the sharpshooter. He could have gone literally any other way to get to the ropes. But I love the visual of them by saying that Moxley had to crawl through broken glass to get to the ropes.
That was really cool.
And they didn't have a rope break. They said no, he couldn't have a rope break. He had to pull himself up to basically shift the momentum, which was really cool. But I'm an idiot and noticed that he could have gone literally any other way other than forward. Moxley then,
you can't have a rope break because it's not a match.
Yeah, so it's like you have to literally just get him off. Moxley Germans Omega into the glass, and then a pair of V-triggers takes Mox down. And I said, Kenny's then snapped. He's gone full cleaner. He's got the vacant look in his face as he demands the Bucks and Hangman Page bring out this giant barbed wire spider web. And I lost my mind when they got this bit out because I knew something mental was going to happen. Then they do a big superplex off the stage through the barbed wire spider web. Were you at this point, were you worried that they were going to have the match end in a no contest? No, because I think AEW know better than to do that. I think they know the way the fans would react to if they did that. I was so pre-trained WWE that I so expected it just to end there. And it's mad to think that these guys went ahead doing stuff like that, and yet the Hell in the Cell got called off because of a sledgehammer shot. Yeah, so they saw this, I don't know, wrestling would have been cancelled for a month in WWE. Not dissing WWE, even though it has been a bit crap the last few weeks. We get a V-trigger through a thing. Then we get the paradigm shift into the glass for a near fall. Moxley then exposes the ring boards. Omega hits a paradigm shift onto the board for a near fall. Now this, you can take your barbed wire, you can take your glass. Omega missing a Phoenix splash and going head first into those wooden boards was the most cringeworthy spot of the entire match for me. Definitely. Yeah. It was just, I couldn't have said it better. It was luckily, I was watching it and some people were awake, so I could make that. I genuinely went, ah! I was like, God, he's just bounced off fucking wood from the top rope. Jesus Christ, and another paradigm shift. And he, a lot of the other spots, so the barbed wire spot is probably, there's not as much tension in the barbed wire. Oh, there's some give to it. There is no give to him just going face first off that from a height of, how high would you say from the ring to the thing? About 5 foot, 6 foot. Yeah, something like that. Going fake and just it was higher because he jumped up from the top of the rope, so it probably fell about 7-8 feet. Yeah, 7-8 feet face first onto the floor. Most people would be it was like I said. I could watch and laugh and pop for the barbed wire and even the finger bit through the glass. I could pop for that. Him smashing off that thing, just that is the bit that made me go, oh God, please let this match end. He'd rotated into it as well, so he probably had even more momentum going into the wood. Oh, you would know. You're the engineering boy, so you can do some calculations. You can figure out his velocity as he yeeted head first into the board. I thought this was tremendous. I said this is my third favourite match of the year. I love this match. I thought this was brilliant. It was hardcore wrestling at its very, very best. Hopefully now Moxley can do a bit more kind of just wrestling in rings. I want to see a bit more of his strong style stuff that we've seen in New Japan rather than just wrestling in hardcore matches. I want a bit more, but this was a nice a nice big marquee match for them to end, and I don't understand people that don't really get it. Like, if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. For you to then say it was overly violent and unnecessary, clearly you've not been watching the product, but I digress. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. But if you're just shitting on it because it's not you, because it didn't fit in with what you think AEW is, then you're missing the point entirely for me. Wrap things up. What's your overall thoughts on the show and your ultimate grade for AEW Full Gear?
So a pretty strong showing from AEW. You could argue this is their biggest show so far. It's their first pay-per-view since they've had the TV deal. So this was a real test, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. For a grade, I'm going to give it. It's a tough one. I'm going to give it a. I think it was a really good show. Like, there's not a lot I can take away from it, but
I feel like I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, like, me, my biggest gripe was it felt like there were a lot of matches on the card, and some of it felt a bit rushed.
I felt the same. I felt like this was a very long. Like, I was worried that I was going to fall asleep because of how long the Cody Jericho match. Luckily, I was wide awake for Moxie Omega. That could have gone on forever, and I would have sat there and enjoyed watching it. But I feel like we got the same thing of it was good, but it was like they need to stick under 3 hours. I can't be dealing with 2 shows that do 4.5 hour pay-per-views. Like, it's just can't be dealing with it. 3 hours is the sweet spot. It's perfectly fine. So for me, we've got both same reasons. Tremendous matches across the board. I'm going A-, because I feel like the drawback was there was 2 matches in the middle that were there. They didn't pop me massively, and I felt the show was a bit too long. So I'm going to say A-, if that helps your grade.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I felt like I could see where you was going. I feel like you were toying between an A and an A-, because you was like, it's really good, but there's still some little bits that pull it back for me. And I think you were stuck between 2 bus stops, so to speak, and didn't know which one to go to. So I thought I'd give you a little help out. So A-, I think is pretty solid.
Be interesting to see in years to come now how this show is looked back on.
Yes, definitely, because
this could go down and be one of their most historic shows ever, or it could be, the next show could completely blow it out of the water.
Well, only one way to find out. But they didn't announce when the next pay-per-view was, so we'll have to wait and see. If you want to get in touch, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at TWM Wrestle. Subscribe to us on Google and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Acast, YouTube, TuneIn. All that good stuff as well. On TWM News this week, we've got loads of articles for WWE, AEW, independent wrestling in general. Check them all out over at twm.news. TWM Talks, there is loads going on over the next few weeks. I can actually tell you pretty much all of it. What's going on over the next few weeks if I go to my phone, and I believe, because I'm pretty sure I may have sent the list to you, Rhys, so if I go to my phone I can read what is happening. So as you would have just heard, this was a Full Gear review. Next week on next Monday on the 18th, you will have seen it on Twitter when TWM talks to WWE superstars Cedric Alexander and Nikki Cross. We had Adam Kaler go down with our lovely friend Tom Collihu from Sportskeeda. They went down there and had a chat. We did a little bit of a double interview, tag team interview thing, and you can go check that out next week as TWM talks with Cedric Alexander, former Cruiserweight Champion, and former WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Nikki Cross. Then we've got a double header on the Sunday. You can listen to when Shirley spoke to Desmond Xavier, Impact Wrestling's and 1/3 of the Rascals, Desmond Xavier. That'll be out on Sunday. Then on the Monday, it's a double-headed pay-per-view review as we talk about NXT TakeOver, War Games, and Survivor Series. We're talking about that on the first Monday of December. It's been a long time coming because Rhys recorded this ages ago, and it keeps end up getting constantly pushed back. But it has got an official date. You can listen to when Rhys spoke to Cara Noir. the man behind Cara Noir, of all that stuff as well. And then we're going straight into the TW Emmys. It is that time of year again where we do our roundtables and count down our top 10 male wrestlers, female wrestlers, moments of the year and matches of the year. And that will be on the Monday the 9th, the Sunday the 15th, the Monday the 23rd, and the Monday the 30th. They will be all going out. There will be a TLC pay-per-view review on the 16th. And then I do believe, if I am not mistaken, we might be doing something special on the first weekend, on the first Monday or Sunday back in 2020, where we may be discussing certain maybe wrestlers and matches of the decade, because if you haven't realised, it's 2019. Next one's 2020, so we've kind of got a whole 10 years of wrestling to kind of look back on. So keep an eye out for that on our social media platforms. Because I realised that it's literally around about this time that I realised that I've been watching wrestling for 20 years, which is in no way depressing whatsoever. Rhys, social media.
So Twitter is at Rhys Teddy.
I'm at Matty ID. We are at TWM Wrestle. Please go follow us. Leave us a rating review, 5 stars on your podcast provider of choice, if you don't mind, please and thank you. Like we said, next week you'll be hearing when TWM spoke to WWE superstars Cedric Alexander and Nikki Cross. I cannot wait to hear it, and I'm sure you guys can't either. So until next Monday, goodbye.